Are you sure you know what happiness is? Have you ever heard the story of the greatest figure in history, King Solomon? Solomon was a supremely powerful king. He not only ruled a mighty kingdom, but also possessed wealth far beyond imagination. Silver to him was no different from pebbles on the road. His knowledge was so profound that kings and lords from all over traveled long distances to seek learning. He had fertile gardens, magnificent palaces, thousands of concubines, and everything a man could desire. Solomon should have been the happiest person in the world. But in the end, when looking back on everything, he did not rejoice in what he had achieved. He did not exclaim in victory, did not enjoy satisfaction. Instead, he wrote a bitter statement that startled posterity to contemplate. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Ecclesiastes 1:2. We don't have to look far to see Solomon's story still repeating in the modern world. Top billionaires, famous stars, people admired by the whole world, many of them also fall into loneliness, depression, even despair. Robin Williams, a talented comedian who brought laughter to millions, but ultimately chose to leave life. Anthony Bourdain, a renowned chef who traveled the world, tasted culinary quintessence, experienced the richest cultures, but ultimately could not find the true meaning of life. This question has made not only ordinary people, but even the greatest thinkers struggle. And C.S. Lewis struggled with this question in his own life. He was a brilliant scholar, a profound philosopher, a person with sharp reasoning ability. He believed that humans could create happiness by pursuing knowledge, art, and freedom of thought. But the more he searched, the more he felt empty. Despite achieving great accomplishments, Lewis still carried an anxiety. He once wrote about this feeling in a letter. I don't want to go into the details of the wretched nihilism I fell into, but believe me, it was terrible. I hated every minute of it. Lewis realized that everything this world could offer was not enough, not because they are not attractive, but because they are not what the human soul really needs. And then, in a pivotal moment of his life, he realized a profound truth. If I have a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. This statement is not just a philosophical remark. It is a declaration about the nature of man. We do not belong to this world. That is why things belonging to this world cannot make us whole. Is happiness something we can create ourselves? In Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis writes, "A man does not find happiness by pursuing it. Happiness, like peace or sleep, never comes from deliberately pursuing it. It comes as a byproduct of something else." This is a simple but powerful truth. Happiness is not something that can be created by oneself. It does not lie in achievements, does not exist in the tangible things that people try to accumulate. It is the consequence of people walking in accordance with the purpose that the Creator has destined for them. C.S. Lewis likens humans to thirsty creatures drinking salt water. The pleasures of the world are like salt water. The more we drink, the thirstier we get. The more we indulge in them, the more we realize that they cannot satisfy our souls. This explains why the richest, most famous, most powerful people still feel empty. They have achieved what the world considers the pinnacle of happiness, but then they yearn for something more. The Bible also mentions this reality thousands of years ago. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Ecclesiastes 3:11. This Bible verse speaks of an important thing. In each of us, there is a void that nothing belonging to this world can fill. Lewis realized that we do not belong to this world, and that is why things belonging to this world cannot make us whole. The happiness that humans truly need does not lie in what we can possess, but in the relationship between us and the one who created us. The Bible affirms this: "You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. Psalm 16:11. True happiness is not the fleeting feeling of pleasure when achieving something. It is the eternal peace when people find the one to whom they belong. One of the biggest misunderstandings about happiness is thinking that it comes from momentary satisfaction. But C.S. Lewis argues that true happiness is not a fleeting emotion, but a lasting spiritual state. He writes, "Those who seek God are not seeking a pleasant feeling, but a true reality. And it is in that reality that true joy can exist." What does this mean? The happiness that God gives does not depend on circumstances. A person may not be rich, not famous, but if they have a right relationship with God, they will have peace and joy that nothing in this world can take away. Look at the lives of Jesus' disciples. They did not live in luxury. They did not have status, but they had a joy that even when persecuted, imprisoned, they still held firm to their faith. That is the joy that comes from living in accordance with the purpose that God has set. And that is also what C.S. Lewis found after many years of seeking happiness in knowledge, fame, and personal freedom. True happiness comes from God, not from the world. C.S. Lewis believed that humans could create meaning for their lives without a God. But ironically, the deeper he delved into philosophy, the more he expanded his knowledge, the more he felt he was heading into a dead end. Every theory about human existence, every materialistic explanation of happiness seemed unable to satisfactorily answer the deep question in his soul. Why do I still feel lacking something, even when I have everything? That search was not just an intellectual journey, but a soul-wrenching internal struggle. Lewis described the moment he realized his powerlessness when faced with the truth. "I came to God like the prodigal son, reluctantly, but forced to." He did not come to God because he was persuaded by momentary emotions or some supernatural event. He came to God as a defeated man before the undeniable truth. After years of denying his existence, he could not help but admit that it was in God's presence that he found the answer he had been seeking for so long. Lewis argued that if humans truly belonged to this world, then things in this world should have been enough to satisfy us. But reality proves the opposite. No matter how much wealth we have, no matter how high we reach in fame, humans still always feel lacking something. The best things in this world are only reflections of the eternal reality, an invitation for us to turn to the one who created them. In other words, all the joys in this world are just shadows of a greater joy that humans truly yearn for. That is the joy in God. The Bible affirms this. Thousands of years ago, "You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand." Psalm 16:11. This means that true joy does not lie in wealth or fame, but in the presence of the Creator. True happiness is not a feeling, but a spiritual state. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that happiness comes from momentary satisfaction. But C.S. Lewis explains that true happiness is not a fleeting emotion, but a lasting spiritual state. God does not promise that He will give us an easy life, but He promises that in Him we will find joy that no one can take away. This means that joy in God does not depend on external circumstances. A person can lose everything, but if they have God, they still have peace and joy. Conversely, a person can have the whole world, but without God, they will still always feel empty. Humans were created to be in God. C.S. Lewis describes human life as a lamp. A lamp can be made of expensive materials with sophisticated design, but if it is not plugged into a power source, it cannot light up. Humans are the same. We can possess everything this world offers, but if we are not connected to the one who created us, we are still just unlit lamps. Happiness does not come from what we have, but from who we belong to. And when humans belong to God, they find peace and joy that nothing in this world can bring. How to experience true happiness. To find true happiness, Lewis offers 3 core principles that each person needs to apply in their life. These principles are not only based on his personal experience, but also deeply reflect the truth in the Bible. Stop putting hope in temporary things. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that happiness comes from what we possess. We put hope in money, fame, status, worldly love, believing that when we achieve those things, we will find satisfaction. But then, when we have it all, we still feel empty. C.S. Lewis argues that it is not because these things are worthless, but because they are not what we really need. The things of this world can never satisfy us, not because they are too small, but because they are not what we really need. The Bible has mentioned this reality thousands of years ago. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Matthew 6:19-20. Things that belong to the world are always limited, but humans carry in themselves an unlimited desire. This proves that humans were created for something greater than what this world can offer. Lewis argues that if we try to fill our souls with temporary things, we will always feel disappointed. Only when we shift our focus to the eternal can we find true peace. Seek God as the source of happiness. If things belonging to the world cannot satisfy us, then we need to turn to the true source of happiness. And according to C.S. Lewis, that source is none other than God himself. He writes, "The human soul will never find rest until it finds rest in God." What does this mean? Lewis explains that humans cannot create happiness because we are not the source ourselves. A tree cannot grow without soil, water, and sunlight. A lamp cannot light up without a power source. Likewise, humans cannot find wholeness without returning to the one who created them. Look at the lives of Jesus' disciples. They were not rich. They had no status in society, but they had a deep joy that even when persecuted, imprisoned, they did not lose. Why? Because they knew that true happiness does not come from what they have, but from their relationship with the one who created them. The Bible also affirms this. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4. This does not mean that God will give us everything we want according to our own will. Instead, when we seek God, he will change our desires so that we desire the right things. When what we want aligns with what God wants to give, that is when we find true joy. Live according to God's will. C.S. Lewis points out that true happiness is not just finding God, but also living according to his will. We were not created to live for ourselves, but to serve God and love others. This is a powerful statement. It goes against what the world teaches us. The world says that to be happy, you need to think of yourself first. You need to achieve what you want. You need to protect your own interests. But Jesus teaches a completely different path. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:37-39. True happiness does not come from living only for yourself, but from walking in love and obedience to God. Lewis realized that when people live only for themselves, they become selfish and isolated. But when they live to serve, to love, and to dedicate their lives to something greater than themselves, they find the true meaning of life. Conclusion: what is true happiness? After many years of searching, Lewis realized a simple but revolutionary truth. You cannot find true happiness by pursuing it. You can only find it when you pursue God. This is not just a nice saying, but a complete reversal of the world's thinking. The world teaches that happiness comes from achieving what you want, but Lewis discovered that true happiness is not something to pursue, but a natural result when people walk in accordance with the purpose that the Creator has set for them. Happiness is not a goal to pursue, but the result of a life connected to the Creator. The question is, are you looking for happiness in the wrong place? If you feel empty despite having everything, perhaps it is time to return to the only one who can fill your soul. True happiness does not come from what you have, but from the one to whom you belong. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of history. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.